Hi, Julie Paquette, probate and estate planning attorney, and I wanted to give you a quick update on the courts right now. It is not a good update. The courts are extremely backlogged right now. Not only are they trying to make up for lost time for those months in the beginning of the pandemic where they were completely closed and not processing anything at all, on top of having that backlog, they're also working with reduced staff because of the health crisis that we find ourselves in. There's certain precautions in place, and courts are operating with less than normal personnel. So at our firm, we talk with people a lot. We are trying to educate the public that you want to get your planning done to avoid probate, but that applies not just to trying to avoid probate at your death, but also trying to avoid it during your life. We just recently filed something requesting a hearing on an issue, and we got our court date that is set for over 4 months from now. So can you imagine, our client is going to be sitting here waiting for over 4 months to get a decision by the judge in this case. I also talked with a colleague today. She had a client she was working with who had a loved one not doing very well, ended up in the hospital. The individual was not able to make their own decisions, and so my colleague's client had to file a petition for guardianship to see a judge to be appointed as that person to make those decisions. Well, in the meantime, while they were waiting for the court date to come around, the individual passed away, unfortunately, which is very sad. And then, we met with someone this week. An older gentleman wanted to get his will done. He had very clear ideas in mind, who he wanted to inherit his property when he passes away. It is not the people who the government will say is entitled to share in his assets at his death if he doesn't have a will. He had very clear ideas of who he wanted to benefit from his property. Well, during the meeting, while I was talking with him, it just became clear to me that he really, at this point, does not have the necessary capacity to execute a will. And it's hard. It's very tough to be sitting there meeting with someone and have to explain to them that you're not comfortable drafting a will for them. And they may be confused, or they're very disappointed. Their family members or whoever it is that they wanted to benefit, they're obviously disappointed. And that's a tough spot for us to be in, to have to tell the client that you may be stuck with the plan that the government thinks you should have. So I just cannot stress enough that you don't have time to wait. Sometimes these people that we meet with, they're a little bit further on in life, they're a little bit older, and it just comes down to having waited too long. Sometimes you just reach that, you cross that line, you get to that point where you don't have the mental capacity to be able to make these kinds of decisions, and you're not going to regain it. Sometimes people can regain it, but when it comes just to being due to age, sometimes people just wait too long. And with this pandemic that we're in, you really cannot afford to wait. If something happens to you or a loved one, somebody ends up in the hospital, they're not able to make their own decisions. Do you want to be that person who is sitting there waiting around for your court date to come up? Or do you want to get your planning done now and get yourself and your family in a more secure position and not have to be dealing with all of that? If you'd prefer the second option, you can give us a call. We will help you out with it. And we promise to make it as easy as possible on you to get all this done and get your family set up in a secure position. All right, take care.